figuring out non-OBD2 cars. So this is a 95. It came in, doesn't start. Of course, they tried to tell me everything that they think it is, but it's here for a reason. So I'm gonna ignore that and just look at what I can find. So first, I haven't actually tried to start it yet. We just pushed it in here, but we'll see what happens. Okay. It sounds like it is trying at least. And then usually the check engine light will turn off. So I think, I haven't looked it up yet, but I think this is the little thing that you jump to check for check engine light, because these ones flash. Okay. So the D4 is flashing. So one solid, 1, 2, 3. I think that's 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1. So 14, 1, and an 8. So how these ones work is a quick flash equals 1, a long flash equals 10, and so there will always be a long flash and then more little flashes unless it's just a code 10. But yeah, so I think a 1, an 8, and a 14 with the D4 flashing, which could mean that it's transmission codes. It could mean that it's the check engine light. It's just how it shows us. And the SRS was just flashing nonstop. So that might be something, or that might not be for checking the check engine light. But I want to see what these 3 codes are for the transmission first. And maybe they're related, maybe they're not. We'll see. I'm going to look through the engine bay, see if there's anything obvious, pack rat stuff or any of that other thing, just to make sure we don't have anything easy or obvious sitting here. Well, nothing stands out up top. Look at that. Alternator maybe? Yeah. Okay, so transmission control stuff, number of D4 indicator lights. So blinks 1, lockup clutch does not engage, lockup clutch does not engage, unstable idle speed, fails to shift, stuck in 1st or 4th gears. So we looked up the codes. They have something to do with transmission and, you know, SRS or supplemental restraint system. So next thing is, it sounded good, so I think the timing is on. I'm going to actually spray in some starting fluid and we'll see if it starts from there. Just a little bit, you know? Well, it tried. It tried. Oh. Well, the fact that it tried and now it's not, I'm going to say that it has a fuel problem. So I'm going to, well, I don't hear the fuel pump. So next thing is to see if voltage is getting to the fuel pump in that system. So wherever the easiest points are to check is where I'm going to check first. You know, there might be a fuse somewhere. It might just be that the fuel pump itself is bad. So I'm gonna go through, well, you'll see. I'm gonna go through checking all the wiring and making sure that we have power going to it. And if we have power going to it and it's trying, then the pump's bad. Ready, go for it. Yeah, it tries to run. All right, wiring it is. First thing we want to check is we come down here to the fuse, and this one's actually labeled fuel pump fuse. Took it out, it looks good. Now I just want to make sure that we have power with key on. So there's power on one side of the fuse. Come on. And power on the other side of the fuse. So the fuse is good. The next point is the main relay, which is also under here. But as you'll see, this is not how a main relay normally looks, being as someone has been in here and they pulled the cover off. So I'm not sure what they were trying to do. But we got to check voltages here. So this blue with a red wire is actually the wire that comes from that fuse. So it should also have battery voltage when I turn the car on. Okay, why do we not have voltage there? So this black with a yellow tracer wire goes to the fuel pump itself. So obviously if there's no voltage getting or coming from the little red wire, it's not going to go through that wire. And then this one is from the computer telling it to turn on. So it might be clicking because I can feel it click because there's technically two relays in here, but it might be clicking, but there isn't voltage getting from here or from the fuse to here. So let me try and figure that out because it's supposed to be there. Okay. I'm thinking this relay's bad. I don't know what they probably took it apart and they're like, it looks good, but so essentially the other part of the relay, or a relay of this, number 5 goes to number 2. Number 5 is the power, number 2 is just a ground. So there's no power here. I even tried to ground it, it doesn't click. I don't feel anything, so I just want it, because essentially power is just supposed to go through that and it's supposed to energize. So there should be resistance here. 348,000 ohms. That seems a bit high. Yeah, I'm guessing that's supposed to be like 80 ohms. So the only other thing that we can actually check is I can jump this. And if I jump this and everything works the way that it should, I hear the fuel pump. All right. Hold on. Okay, try it. Okay, hold on. Well, I'm trying to think of how I can check fuel pressure on this because I don't think we have a fitting for it. I've actually never seen this before, but this is an AC fitting on the fuel rail. I'm gonna go jump the fuel pump relay. That way we can manually turn on the fuel pump. And we're gonna see if we get fuel pressure or enough fuel pressure to run. It's at 40? Okay. These two injectors have fuel on them. There's fuel all the way down the intake manifold, and it looks even wet down here. Well, I'm gonna clean this up so that it's dry, and then we're gonna try again in a little bit once it's all dry and see if that does it again. All right, everything is dry, so I'm going to turn the key on, let it hold pressure, and then see if we have any leaks or if I just spilled a lot, but I don't think I spilled that much. Well, I hear fuel. I don't see any leaks, so that's a good sign. Okay. Is it doing anything? I saw nothing. Yeah, let me just flip it and see if maybe it's a directional thing. All right, so what we were trying, the little lights that you saw, they're NOID lights. So NOID lights help you determine if the injector is actually firing because it flashes every time an injector would fire. You just plug it into the actual pins. And it didn't fire, or we didn't see any lights at all the entire time. So it has power going to the injectors, which on that car, the ground side is what the computer controls. So it always has power 100% of the time. It just gets grounded through the computer. So it's the other thing too. There's also a potential that the main relay isn't working because the computer isn't triggering it, because the computer actually triggers the fuel pump too. So I'm going to look into stuff and check for voltages or check for ohms, whatever I have to do on here. I don't know if you have access to anything like this, but this is something that helps for any kind of diagnostic. So, you know, it'll give you schematics for wiring. And if you're not good with wiring, then this doesn't help. So we checked everything. We're not getting injectors. We're not getting fuel, or fuel that is the car control, because we're making it turn on. And so essentially looking into it, it's kind of leading down to the computer. And so I start looking into how to test the computer, see what's going on. And I find this part of AllData where it tells you the codes. And it says code 0. I don't know what code 0 is. I haven't actually dealt with code 0 before. Code 0, it means, it literally says ECU if you have a code 0. And so I looked up what code 0 meant. And code 0 means that the check engine light is on solid. It is just always solid. And if you go back to the beginning, you'll see it was on solid when we had it jumpered. And it's supposed to flash. If everything's perfect, it'll just have a little flash here and there. Like it won't, it's not really anything to go on with it. But it should just be off when it's jumped, one of the two. But it shouldn't be stuck on. And unlike other cars, how this works is you turn the key on, check engine light turns on, and then the check engine light turns off. And when it turns off, that means that the fuel is good, right? Or the fuel is primed. And if you have an actual check engine light, there's something wrong with the car that ECU is trying to tell you about. You'll see the check engine light kind of go off and on. This one didn't move. And so just to make sure, because I always like double checking, we went and stole the computer from our cameraman and editor and Fred's father car, and we plugged it in. And so now this is our check to see if I'm correct, because the only thing that we've changed so far is the ECU. Well, yeah, I'm gonna say that was the problem. So we'll price out an ECU for them and go from there.